My name is Joseph Jackson, known as Tacumbo now. I'm in prison for a double murder and 3 attempts, 5 robberies, and a burglary. I would like to start off by saying that I take full responsibility for all of my actions. I started out behind the starting line. My first crime that I committed as a young kid was with my mother. She took me into the store, and I picked something up, and then I ran out the store because we didn't have any money. My mother was on drugs. I had a father that had a family that didn't want me, so I stayed in the closet. For me, it was extremely painful. It was extremely hurtful, and it got even worse when my mother went to prison for murder. So I felt abandonment on both ends. I say that to say, for the rest of my life, to the age of 19, when I committed my crime, I was running from the pain of abandonment. I was placed into another situation with my grandmother where I experienced violence between my grandmother and my grandfather. There was a moment that I can remember. I call it the bean story. My grandmother and my grandfather started fighting, and they knocked the beans over, and I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm standing there, I'm watching this, I'm screaming, and I'm crying, and I'm taking all this in. I didn't have the ability to block it whatsoever. So my brothers and them came up with this game for us to be able to try to stop me. I was crying so much uncontrollably that my brothers and them tried to intervene. My grandmother and them got so tired they were sitting on the couch. They opened the front door and the back door. My brother went out and he ran through the house, and my grandmother screaming at him, "Stop running through this house, boy." He slid through the beams, jump out the back, and he started laughing. And then my middle brother, boom, he run through the living room. My grandmother screaming. He slide through the beams and out the back door into my brother's arms, and they laughing. And I'm standing there, and I'm screaming, and I'm crying, and I'm looking at my brothers, and they egging me to come on, come on, come on. Looking at my grandmother, looking at my brothers. I'm looking back and forth, so I just take off running.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I can hear my grandmother, "Boy, stop running in this house." I slide through the beams and into my brother's arms. And they just held me, and we just started laughing. And we did it over and over and over to the point where I no longer heard my grandmother telling me, "Stop running through this house." I no longer feared her because the pain was so powerful that I needed to cover it up. I needed to get past it. And that was the only way for me to get past it, was to be rebellious. So growing up, as soon as I got to school, I learned how to not listen to authority. When I didn't know how to sit still, or I didn't know how to write, or I didn't know how to do any of the curriculum in school, I disrupted the class, got kicked out of school. So at 12 years old, it wasn't a hard decision for me to start running the streets. I started selling drugs at 12 years old. So by the time that I turned 19 years old, I was introduced into this drug game, and I got this abandonment, I got this anger in my heart. It was easy for me to get right involved with drug dealing and robbery and using drugs and getting high and all of these different things. But it's still my responsibility. One thing that I do want to get across is my responsibility to cultivate the tools to change my energy and to change my personality and who I am as a human being and become somebody else, to become better. And the only way that was able to happen for me was getting arrested, coming to prison. I was facing the death penalty at 19 years old. I've been down now for almost 24 years. And throughout this state, since I've been in prison, I've noticed that there's so much abandonment, there's so much anger, there's so much frustration, there's so much negative energy around me every single day, as if I was back at home, experiencing my grandmother and my grandfather fight, experiencing my mother going to prison, experiencing selling drugs on the streets and robbing people and beating up people and shooting people and doing all these different things. I got tired. It hurt. I was looking for something that I couldn't find. I was looking for a relief. And the only thing that gave me relief is for me to be able to sit down long enough for me to be able to become sober enough to have me a little bit of crack, a little bit of clarity inside of my mind. And that clarity began for me to read books and to investigate and to have the desire to do better. Especially with everything that's going on right now with the movement out there, you know what I'm saying, with the Black Lives Matter. I'm in here for harming other black people. But through my studying and being introduced to good brothers that introduced books to me and told me to go down this route, try this. I've read Malcolm X. I've read Martin Luther King. Looking at life from just a black perspective, that was just the beginning. I'm way more than just...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm a spiritual being, but the black part, that was enough to get my attention, to keep me moving in the right direction. At New Folsom, I was blessed to be able to run across a group of brothers in a group called the Inside Circle, where men sit down and we process our issues. That means we take a look at our abandonment issues. That means we take a look at our anger. That means that we even take a look at how we feel it in the moment every single day, about our crimes, about how we feel about being in prison. And the whole goal is, how do we process this poison inside of us and get to the healing? How do we find a person that can be used by humanity, that deserves to come back to the community and give back? For upwards of 10 years, I processed all of my issues the best I know how, to be able to get to a person that looks around now and it's not coming from a selfish and a separate position, but a holistic perspective. How do I look at another person and say, you know what, that person is going through something, so I'm not gonna judge that person. I'm not gonna hate that person. I'm not mad at the police. I'm not mad at the judges. I'm not mad at the CEOs for having me in here. It's me that got myself in here. They don't have me in here. So now that I've grown and dared to take on this challenge of how do I become a better person, it's an amazing experience for me. I was able to cultivate a love in my heart that now I have a 25-year-old son that I can communicate with. I have brothers that I can communicate with. I have nieces. I have a grandbaby and one on the way, and I'm in their life. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's all about changing my mind, changing my energy. I'm not saying that I'm in a place of perfection. No, I'm not. Because every single day these walls pull at me. Every single day the negativity pull at me. Every single day the man that I used to be pulls at me to come that way. But that's why it's up to me to get up every day. It's up to me to open up that book. It's up to me to look at that mental netter and try to find a way to recondition the man that I used to be into something that's healing, into something that gives back. So when I meet people, do I expand them or do I contract them? Do they come towards me or do they close off? You know, and it's a fight. And it is a fight. I have life without the possibility of parole. That weighs on me, the fact that I can't go to the board, or the fact that, you know, I've done something in the eyes of society that says, you know what, we don't want you anymore. I have to be strong enough for myself to say, you know what, I want me. My family want me. That helps me to do the right thing every single day. I don't just live for myself anymore. I've been married now, going on 10 years. My 10th anniversary is coming up. I met a beautiful woman that came into my life at that time. I decided to change my life and to become a better person. For many years, I prayed to God, saying, you know, I can't do this by myself. I need some companionship. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling lost. It's this male energy in here. It's something else. And I was blessed to be able to get a woman in my life to love me beyond my wildest dreams. You know, through visits, through letters, through whatever it is, encouragement. She's a beautiful, spiritual giant that loves and supports me, not because of the man that I used to be, but because the man that I am now and the being that I'm trying to be. And she's helping me along that walk. I don't think I would have been able to grow as far as I did without her in my life. And for me, I believe that people inside, we need people on the outside to tell us that they love us, that they care about us, and then show it. She shows it consistently. My wife is in my corner, always pushing me on to do the right thing. So that helps me every single day that I wake up. I'm not just living for myself, but I'm living for all the people that's supportive of me. I'm greatly happy that I'm able to be where I'm at, and I'm deeply remorseful for the things that I've done, the people's lives that I've shaken. I know I've caused a ripple in the community. I know I've taken from the fabric and the foundation of what is considered to be security in our country because of what I do. I promoted violence. I promoted hatred. I did that.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So for me, the whole goal for me is to be able to dial it back, come back to the center, and try to find some love and humanity inside of myself.
Hey, Joseph
Jackson.
Bro, that was extremely powerful, bro. Thank you for sharing. And I had society wants you back in society because you got people like me and a whole community that wants you out here. We don't believe in life without the possibility of parole. We know about redemption, so you got society supporting you too. We out here. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. No problem. Have a good night.